I found something disturbing while metal detecting. Part 4. Written by Sasha Butters. Read by Philip Hassan Games. Sunday was uneventful, just the way I like it. I got to catch up on sleep and de-stress. I didn't realize how tired I was until I opened my eyes Sunday morning to realize it wasn't morning at all. It was nearly 1 in the afternoon. A knock on the door is finally what woke me up. Judy came in to check up on me. She said she had tried to get me up for breakfast, but that I had showed no signs of life or willingness to leave the confines of the blankets. Why would I want to ever leave that bed? The down comforter was amazing. When I finally sat up, I was greeted by the cold moisture on my waist. I was almost afraid to check up after the events of the previous day. Pulled back the covers and let out my held breath. Never thought I'd say I was relieved to have wet bed. No pun intended. I'm glad I admitted my problem and asked them to bring me sleep shorts. I can't bring myself to call them diapers. Otherwise, I don't think I'd ever be able to show my face there again. What of the interrogation with the witness? Hey, welcome from college. Sorry I've made a mess of your bed. Now can you answer some questions for me? Well played. Around 3 in the afternoon, my dad came by to try to talk to me, but I wouldn't have it. Judy tried to get me to talk to him, but I said I need more time. Is forever a correct measurement of time? He reminded me of my psych appointments on Thursday, which I'd completely forgotten about amidst the chaos. So I guess his visit wasn't all bad, even if he could have just texted me. I spent most of the day planning what I was going to ask Bella, Judy's daughter. The name sounded oddly familiar, but I attributed that to my junior high obsession with Twilight. You know, the Twilight series. Go figure. Around dinner time, Judy asked me if they ever caught whoever broke into the house. I shook my head, but something about my face must have seemed suspicious. I really hate my open book face. She asked if there was something else wrong. I relented and told her I thought my house was haunted. I could see her trying to hold back a laugh. The rest of the week was pretty uneventful until Wednesday night. I had another nightmare. I dreamed I was back home, lying in my bed, but I couldn't move. It wasn't like there was something physically holding me down. Rather, I was paralyzed by fear. I could feel a presence in the room with me. That's when a black figure appeared. It had no face or physical features. I don't think it even had a physical form. It stood in front of my bed looking down on me. I kept telling my brain to move, but my body refused. The black mass leaned down on the bed and began to crawl towards me. I could feel the bed give under its weight and creak despite the lack of body. It grabbed my ankle and pulled me down the bed before it held me down by my wrists by pinning them over my head. I could feel the warmth of its breath on my face. Finding my voice, I let out a howl of terror and managed to wake myself. I jolted up in the darkness. Beads of sweat dripped down my face. There was a soft knock on my door a few moments later. Judy let herself in and flipped on the switch. I squinted in the sudden brightness as the light burned my eyes. She asked me if I was okay, but I just shook my head and hugged my knees. My heart was still hammered in my chest. I jumped at an unexpected touch on my back. Shh, it's okay, Rachel. You're safe, Judy whispered as she rubbed and patted my back, hid my face into my hands until I felt her grab my wrist. I let out a yelp and instinctively pulled back. We both looked to see a bruise begin to form around my wrist. Judy was wrong. I wasn't safe. Not even my sleep. Someone, or something, wanted my attention. It's after me, I whispered. She patted my head as I leaned against her shoulder. I stayed there for a few minutes, but I felt gross and sweaty. I decided to take a shower before I tried to go back to sleep. Pulled back the covers and let out a horrified gasp. There was blood everywhere. Again, I closed my eyes tight and tried to tell myself it wasn't real. When I opened them, it was still there, on the sheets and the blankets, down the side of my pants. Without a terrified moan as I jumped out of bed, Judy just looked at me, looked from me back to the bed. It's okay, Rachel, the bedding can be washed. She gazed at me with a concerned look on her face. How could she think this was normal? You leaked. It's not something to get so worked up over. Leaked? This wasn't a leak. Just when I was about to ask what she meant, a sharp pain in my stomach made me cry out. I doubled over and let a groan before falling unconscious on the ground, and that's how I ended up spending my Thursday in the hospital. I woke up in the emergency room, pain-free and cleaned up. Judy must have called my dad because he was in the chair next to me. He looked relieved to see me awake. Judy and Frank were also standing beside me. We waited a few hours in the ER before the doctor came, asked everyone to leave, and gave me an examination. He pressed around my stomach a bit and asked if it hurt. It didn't. He paused when he noticed the marks on my arms and legs and asked if I got them. I didn't want to say, so I just shook my head. Who would believe me that I thought a ghost was attacking me in my sleep? I told him about waking up covered in blood. He looked at my chart and said the nurses hadn't reported seeing any when they examined me. I frowned in confusion. I know I wasn't imagining it this time. Even Judy saw. Maybe she cleaned me up before she brought me in. The doctor finished his examination and stepped into the hallway. I could vaguely hear him talking with someone, but I couldn't make out the words until I heard my dad start shouting. What do you mean you won't tell me what's wrong with her? She's my daughter. The doctor spoke in hushed tones, which I guessed was him trying to calm my dad down. Tell me what's wrong. 20 minutes later, I was filling out forms so my dad could have access to my treatment since I was 18 now. Being an adult really was complicated. I don't remember having to do this last time I was. The sudden thought struck me as odd. I laid back down and stared at the ceiling as a feeling of deja vu came over me. Had I been here before? They were out in the hallway for quite some time before they came back in. And you know what the big secret Hippo was keeping from my dad was? Nothing. There was nothing wrong with me. The doctor told us it was stress from graduating. I pointed out I wouldn't be graduating until next year because I was behind in credits. He changed to diagnose the stress from not graduating. Go figure. Judy came in to tell me I should probably go home with my dad since he seemed worried about me. She told me her daughter called and told her she would be there tomorrow instead of Saturday. I nodded in agreement, despite feeling anxious. Well, terrified, really. Lines between what was real and what wasn't were becoming blurred. I decided on one last test. I apologized for the sheets. She said it wasn't a big deal since urine would wash out. The drive home from the hospital was silent until we pulled into the driveway. My dad turned off the ignition and said, "What's been going on with you, Rachel? I'm worried. You trashed our house, you nearly got arrested for trespassing, and now this?" He grabbed my arms and motioned towards the bruises. "What are you talking about?" I demanded, forcefully pulling my arm away. "I didn't trash the house. And what does this have to do with anything? The doctor said it was self-inflicted. Am I not paying you enough attention?" "It was not," I yelled back, feeling my blood boil. I dreamed someone was attacking me. I woke up like this," I admitted. His stern gaze seemed to soften. "I'm sorry, Rach. I forgot. It's the anniversary." I nodded my head and opened the car door. I always get depressed around the time of my mom's disappearance, but apparently I have my dad to thank for that. I miss her. If I couldn't get him arrested, I might as well guilt trip him. Why have you been bringing this up lately? He asked. You seemed annoyed now instead of sympathetic. Is this what this is all about? He let out a frustrated sigh. Maybe you can talk to your psych about it later today. Doctor-patient confidentiality and all that. I wanted to get out of the car but stopped. Have I ever been in the hospital before? He seemed surprised by the question. Why? I shrugged and got out, leaving the question hanging. I took his surprise as a no. My appointment with the psychiatrist didn't go much better. I told her about everything that was going on, minus the possibility of my dad being a murderer. She asked me if I had been under a lot of stress. While it was true that I had been, I didn't think it was the cause of everything. There was something more, something darker. I just couldn't put my finger on it. She upped my anxiety meds anyway and told me to get some sleep. So now I'm in my own room, in bed, staring at my wrists. The dream felt so real. It was like I could really feel someone grab me. I didn't do this to myself. Right. I remember something like that. Unless I did it in my sleep in an attempt to wake myself up. I lined up my right hand with the marks on my left and let out a disappointed sigh. The marks lined up perfectly with my fingers. So apparently I'm hurting myself in my sleep. Why though? How do I stop it? What if I hurt myself worse than leaving a bruise? What if I dream of being strangled and choke myself to death? Why have I been imagining blood? I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping I'll know more tomorrow after meeting with Bella. That is, if I don't accidentally stab myself in my sleep tonight.